Hello, welcome back. Tonight I will speak about a collection of grimoires, of books that I have written, that I put it together under the name of Galactica. And Galactica is a digital volume that offers the different 11 grimoires that I have written, 11 different books, that have origin or inspiration that I have taken from the Ars Goetia, the Book of King Solomon. And I will create a second volume of Galactica, which I will call it the same name, Galactica, but volume 2. And I'm already writing on the next 10 new grimoires that I will prepare as well. At the moment I'm writing the Grimoire of Clownneck, and it is almost finished, and I will be able to publish very soon as well. But this is a recording specific for Galactica Volume 1, and it's a recording part of a playlist where I speak about what Galactica is, what's the concept behind it, what type of books or grimoires I have written, and on which subjects as well that we have discussed in the other recordings. And of course the playlist I would like to continue, and I would like to speak on different recordings on the different 11 grimoires separately in the same time. Sometimes, maybe ideas flow from one to another, but I'm going to focus tonight on my first grimoire, which is the Grimoire of King Paimon, the Lord of the Endless Silence, the Lord of the Abyss. I do have a very large playlist where I speak since longer time about the Book of King Paimon. So it is, my largest book that I've written until now. I don't know if I will ever write a larger book than this, but it is more than 700 pages, and it is written in hymn form, in the form of a grimoire that tells the story of King Paimon. So, it is a very beautiful story that I have created in the book. At the same time, we have the representation of King Paimon on the cover. We have seen him in this beautiful dark, sometimes black obsidian or green type of robes. So it's like a special color. So even the color it has a special quality when it comes to King Paimon. You say, black is not only black, there are nuances in the black as well. The black of King Paimon is a little like under a smoke, or sometimes it appears total dark, like obsidian, but very polished, very fine. So there are other elements that come to that black as well, The Grimoire of King Asmodeus, that black is very much like the clay, or like the black stone, that has of course a different quality. So if I was to describe it for King Paimon, it would be the black sand. Sand represents time, and he somehow represents that element of his dominion. And the Grimoire of King Paimon, of course, is very, very beautiful. I love to analyze it. I have spoken in many recordings about different teachings of King Paimon. While he is very knowledgeable, he is surrounded not by one book, but almost said all the books. He carries that wisdom of the ages, of that eternity. So King Paimon is very special already from his name. I don't have to add; it's enough to say King Paimon. So there's a specific kingship that comes to that. So not all kingships are the same. There is a huge difference. So King Paimon teaches that element of the abyssal part, something that creates distance for a better understanding, So the wise is not scared of the darkness. The wise is not, understand the darkness even under the shimmer of some gold or silver. It does not matter, But the wisdom what I want to say is that the wisdom that King Paimon carries is a very special kind of wisdom that absolutely fascinates me. So I worked very almost fortunate at that time. I had a lot of time at home, and I remember working 3 months day and night on it, but with a lot of joy. I was very excited, extremely inspired by the story of King Paimon. And so I say, it does have a lot of pages, but I think that's a part that makes it very special and beautiful as well. And part of Galactica is, of course, to bring these different subjects as well together. So while when I wrote the Grimoire of King Paimon, I didn't necessarily think that I would write a second grimoire. I didn't think of that. I focused entirely on the thematic of King Paimon. And that's what made it beautiful, because I was able to enjoy the experience fully. I was very immersed in the thematic of King Paimon, which created something very beautiful, I think, and somehow unexpected. It was not something that necessarily I created, but somehow appeared in my reality in certain moments, and it made me feel something, that was almost visible only to my eyes, or but something very intricate, very beautiful, very futuristic, very geometrical, very inspiring, very, very ancient, very deep, very vast. There was a lot of this type of elements of beauty, and of course, everything has a meaning when it comes to King Paimon, the way he looks, the way he presents himself through the robes, or the different elements of magic that he carries, or the different abilities that he has, or, he appears sometimes not at all, sometimes only the sound, sometimes you do see him, sometimes he moves, sometimes he does not, sometimes he speaks, he appears in very different ways in my book, which I find very beautiful. It shows the different roles of duty that King Paimon carries, and how beautiful he fulfills those aspects of his origin. So he cannot be anything else than what he is. There's not a question of something wrong. That's another thing that I want to specify, because when we have the element of the king, we always know it's something good. The king is always good. So we say King Paimon is not only good, is very good. So it's not the element of the foolish. They think that the darkness is the shadow and the shadow is the light, or who cannot differentiate between darkness, shadow, and light. They are totally three different aspects, and one has to understand them separately. And so, King Paimon is about wisdom, speaks to the mind, speaks to the intellect very much. And the other beautiful aspects that we find with King Paimon is the element of time, but the eternal time, or the element of the sands, of the desert, of that beautiful orange yellow light, the element of the sun, of the desert, of the camel, that long journey, that almost like the journey to the desert is vast, but it's not to say that it's empty. It's very much what King Paimon says. It's always so say, maybe others believe that silence is foolish, or silence is empty, but silence is everything that is, So from that part of the silence comes the answer. From that part of the silence comes the wisdom, and that part is carried by King Paimon. So I say, King Paimon is extremely very special. So I almost realized after I wrote the book of King Paimon who truly King Paimon is. It took a time for me as well to meditate on the subject, or think of finding new ways to understand him as well. And I find that part very fascinating. At the same time, I do think that King Paimon offered me things without me asking, which was so beautiful. And I almost say the part that it took for me as well, to bring that honor, or to create this book with that honor that I did, from the beginning to end. So it was an act of love from my side to write a book of King Paimon. It was an act of love. It was not work at all. It felt easy. It felt like from the feeling, like spreading butter on the bread. Just that easy. Yes, it was hard. Yes, it took time. Yes, I didn't sleep. I had to write or whatever. But there's always a little sacrifice, that one has to do for that element of magic as well to appear. They say, well, you just closed your eyes and you missed it. No, it's that element of having the eyes open at the right time and closed at the right time as well. And that speaks too about that part of that reality with the fantasy together, no? How beautiful that interplay is, and that I do believe it exists. And say, well, the magical aspect of nature is enough for me to believe in the magical aspect. I'm very much, as a child, I say, well, the magic and beauty I've seen in the world as a child, I will always keep. So, say, well, maybe it's not like that. Say, well, you know, the answers are not given by others. It's another thing that Paimon says, and the answer to the question, no? So, well, if you have a question, so it is an element of the silence as well. And the silence carries echo, or it can carry, or it just carries silence as well. So, well, the silence does carry silence. That's why it's silence and it's silent. But say there's the aspect of magic. So from that silence, something arrived, something came, something, you know, opened. It's almost say, well, that's the power of King Paimon. That's what I believe, is that King Paimon has that power, that beautiful aspect of who he is, no? I say, well, he is a character in my book, first and foremost. I say, well, he is my own imagination, my own creation. No, I say, well, if I believe if he exists or not, it is my own interpretation. I say, well, even a book is art painting. I don't have to explain how and why. That is the quality of that wisdom that one can carry through the analysis of some aspects of it. Some answers are given in some aspects or some thoughts. Or, let's say, only from silence. The silence that does carry meaning, that's what I want to say. Sometimes it's even more rich of meaning than the words are. So, there is a lot of beautiful, poetic, metaphorical, lyrical aspects of King Paimon that, so, well, I could speak, to be honest, endless about King Paimon. So there are a lot of very intricate, very beautiful, very, I want to say, some things cannot even be explained, no? That's very much element of King Paimon as well. And of course I invite anyone to read who has interest in the thematic of King Paimon, of course, to buy and read my books, or my book of King Paimon. And of course, you know, there is a difference between the book and the aspect that I talk about after or before, you know, or in the moment that I was writing the book. There's a lot of recordings that I've spoken about those elements as well. And the volume of Galactica, you know, it is beautiful because one does not have only the King Paimon Grimoire, has all the other 10, which of course are all very, very beautiful and very different as well. But I did write them under the same format, or the same way in the meaning of the hymn or the verses. You know, I kept the same script or the same form, but of course totally new, no? All different books. And yeah, so of course there will be a lot more for me to say about King Paimon, but I cannot make this recording too long. I do invite you to listen to the playlist of King Paimon. You can see on my channel there is more than 100 recordings of the thematic of King Paimon, or you can of course check out the book as well. And thank you so much for listening. I will continue another time to speak about the second Grimoire of Galactica. Until then, all the best to you. Bye.